Hi, everybody. Welcome to Badass Banter, a hybrid group discussion and podcast interview. This week, it is a podcast interview. It is pre recorded, so feel free to drop any questions or comments in the comments section. I'll also have information on how you can connect with our guest this week. The podcast will be available on the Badass Banter channel on YouTube. It'll also be available in the Mindset Mavericks group and Facebook, and also on my profile page on LinkedIn. So lots of places where you can catch this. I am your host, Carole Filion. I am a mindset coach and mentor. And what I do is I help mature women tap into their inner badass, ergo the name, and give themselves permission to reconnect with their innate greatness so that they can enjoy their third act with joy and intention. And I also love to see mature women use those decades of knowledge, wisdom, insights, and put it all to good use so that they can leave a powerful legacy. So, speaking of which, my guest this week absolutely embodies all of this. So, before I bring her on stage, let me tell you a little bit about Martha Burich. She is possibly the coolest, most well rounded individual I've ever met. She has this amazing energy and she gives her time to causes that speak to her heart and has made significant impact on the lives of the underserved in her community. Now, these aren't lines that she fed me. It's what I know from speaking with her, because I know she'd be too modest to share that. So I will, because I feel it's really an important point. She's also spent 10 years as a child psychology professor, 16 years as a high school science and special ed teacher. So now I think you're starting to get the whole picture about how well rounded she is. Her love and passion for healthy development of children and inspiring them to be their best selves is palpable. So much so that she's written a book entitled, Yes, You Can Raise Happy, Responsible Children. And this is out next month. Otherwise, I'd have a copy of it to show you right now. But here's the best part. The book promises to be so impactful. And get this, it's been endorsed by Jack Canfield himself. Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul, Jack Canfield, Success Principles. Yes, that Jack Canfield. So this is a big deal. This book is super, super important. And he's got a lot to say, actually. He gets very specific about why the book is important. But for me, it's the last part of his endorsement that makes me want to run out and get it as soon as it's released. And in it, he says, it's my pleasure to endorse this remarkable book, knowing it has the potential to transform the lives of families worldwide. What a beautiful prophecy to be speaking over this book. He says it's a must read for anyone committed to fostering a nurturing environment where both children and parents can truly thrive. Please help me welcome to the virtual stage, Martha Burich. There she is. Hello, hello, Martha. I think you're on mute and I can't see you.
All righty.
There we go. There she is. Hello, hello. I know
Hello.
I know you didn't hear any of that, so you're in for a nice little treat, I think, when you actually see the recording.
I am
I
very happy
am
to be here.
Oh, I am thrilled to be having this conversation with you because first of all, I'm super excited about this book. And so, before I get into like some of the nitty gritty, tell me a little bit about what prompted you to write the book in the first place.
Carol, when my son was 4, he was so spoiled. He was so difficult. And I had an opportunity to take parenting lessons. 8 weeks, 1 hour a week. Changed our lives. And
Really?
my husband did not attend the lessons with me, just me. Changed our lives. I had a brand new child.
Wow.
in 8 weeks. In fact, in just a week or two, I had a brand new child. And I never forgot that and how much that improved the quality of our lives. My son was a better little person. I was a better person. It just helped me so much. And I always remembered that. Plus, I had been taking self esteem workshops and things like that from Jack Canfield. And I put all that together and it really, really worked for me. And by combining the two, the parenting techniques and the self esteem, I thought, you know what? That's what people really need to
That,
establish happy families and, successful and happy children.
that's amazing. And so were you involved already as a child psychology professor at this point, or was this
When he was
prior?
4, no, but I was working on my master's degree and had that, in the back of my mind. Yes, I was always interested in children and teaching and how to get the best out of people.
Wow, and talk about living the lesson with you were already studying it, right? So it
Yes,
was
yes.
interesting that that you would have already been involved in that from an academic
Mm-hmm.
perspective,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
but then
Yes. In
eight
fact, when
weeks
I
really brought in the practical, didn't it?
Yes, yes. And I was involved in behavior modification in college. I was the teaching assistant for Richard Malott, who was really, really big in behavior modification during that time, and also Dr. David Ziff, and he taught behavior modification. So from the very beginning, I entered college. That was really what interested me.
Fascinating. That's fascinating. All right, so now let's get into the book a little bit. So obviously it was already in the back of your mind, and
Mm,
you are like proof positive that there's a good book in everybody, right? Right? They all say that everybody's got one good book in them.
that's for
So,
sure. That's for
and
sure.
you really were living it. You were embodying it that whole time until you got it on paper. Now, um, I know we didn't talk about this, but you had this book written for a while before you brought it to the
Yes,
world. Is that true?
yes, yes. I wrote it a long time ago
Interesting.
and got busy, put it in a drawer. And
Wow.
then when I moved and opened a box, and there it was. And I thought, you know what? I think maybe now's the time.
That's fabulous. I love hearing stories like that because I just finished Liz Gilbert, Big Magic. And she talks about that, where, ideas are a living thing and they will come
Mhm.
and visit you. And until you take action on them, then they'll move on to the next person, or they'll just, they'll kind of die off. But you revisited it and it found you again. It was
Well, and
looking
you know
for
why,
you.
Carol? You know why? It's because I'm at a time in my life where I can present the information in a better way. I have much better experience, more experience, and more stories and more examples to then pull from the book and to help more people at this time.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just wasn't time when you put
Right.
it
It
aside.
wasn't time.
It wasn't ready. It wasn't fully baked. It was your starter. It was your sourdough starter.
There you go, because you know what? That's one. I also wrote a second one
Oh,
that'll be coming out next, and that is yes, you can teach them all because I was a teacher for decades. So yes,
oh my
yes.
gosh. This is fabulous. Wow, you're on a roll. You're absolutely on a roll. So, all right, let's get into some nitty-gritty here because one of the things that's come up in your notes is that society loves to blame parents for everything. Ain't that the truth? And we kind of have that weight on us as parents, don't we?
Hmm.
So why do you suppose
Hmm.
that is? Like, where's that come from?
Well, I think part of it is we're judgmental people, and also because we care. I think we're very concerned about children being mistreated, so we're always having that radar out. But I think sometimes our thermostat is set a little bit too finely, that we're seeing things that really aren't abuse and that really uh, people need to work out and we need to let them work it out. So we're very judgmental as a society. She shouldn't say that, he shouldn't do that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So parents are always, no matter what they do, they send a child, to school with a peanut butter sandwich. Oh, can't do that anymore. Somebody might have a peanut butter allergy. Uh-oh. You send the child to school with, lunch meat. Oh, we're vegans. Well, don't you care about the planet? So no matter what they do, they're wrong. No matter, we put them in plastic diapers. Oh my goodness, the disposable diapers. Why you shouldn't do that. And then you put them in cloth diapers, and then it's. Do you realize how much that laundry detergent affects the? no,
Right.
no
Yeah.
matter what parents do, somebody can say something. And in fact, I even had an incident. This we're going back years. A couple were at the store and their baby, she wasn't even 2, and she was just grabbing onto mom and clinging and wanting out of the cart, and mom hit her. Mom slapped her. And I went up to them and I said, what's going on? And she goes, she just won't leave me alone. And I said, oh, I think she's tired. I said, so what you're telling me is your baby's tired and you just hit her because she's tired. And you could tell these parents were very open and receptive. They didn't know what to do.
Right.
So we had a discussion about it. I said, you know what? There are a lot of things you can do. You don't need to hit your child. For one thing, why don't you just hold? Because mom would pick her up and then the baby went down. Mom would pick her up, then the baby went down because she was tired. So we kind of discussed it. But yes, parents are they feel as though they're continually between a rock and a hard place. You take a child. One time I took my son, 7 a.m. It was 7 a.m. We would let his father sleep in the morning and we would get up early. You know how babies get up early, right? So Anthony was about 6 months old. So we went to a breakfast place and I put him in the high chair and I'm feeding him. And these 2 women next to me, isn't that terrible? She got that baby up this early in the morning and she took him out of the house.
Isn't it terrible that baby got that mother up so early in the morning?
The baby's up at 6 a.m. You know what I mean? So
exactly. Oh
no
my
matter
gosh,
what you
it's
do, no
hilarious.
matter what you do, somebody's going to say something. So, and then nowadays parents are so worried about, oh my goodness, are they going to call CPS on me? Oh my goodness. It's really a minefield now. And that's another reason why I wrote the book, is because parents really need help. They need help. They don't know what to do. Just like I didn't know what to do with my son. I thought I was doing the best I could for him. Turned out I was creating a monster. But luckily, because of these classes, we got control. And Carole, here's a story. I was into those classes, I don't know, about 6 weeks or so. And one day he came home from school and I was kindergarten or preschool, and he said something. And I said, well, dear, and I forgot what I said. And he goes, are you trying to use that psychology stuff on me again? And I said, yes, dear, yes, dear, I am. Yes, dear, I am. And he goes, well, it doesn't work.
Oh gosh,
what he didn't know is it was working so well. I mean, he was a different child.
I love it. Oh my goodness. And may I ask how old your son is?
Oh, now he's 42.
Right. So this must be amazing, funny stories to be able, when you guys get together, there has to be some, right? Some sharing of this. Like I
Let
remember
me tell you
when.
this one. I'll tell you. Let me tell you another one. Okay, he's about
Please.
4. We go to the store, and when they had already told me, now you're supposed to do not give in to the child. Do not give in to the child, because he said, Mom, I want a toy. And I said, after I go shopping, then when I finish my shopping, we'll stop at the toy store and get you what you want. But he pestered me, and I knew better. And I said, okay, we'll get the toy, but if you don't behave, I'm taking it back. Well, he didn't believe me. Why should he? He had no reason to believe me. I think this was before I took the lessons. Anyway, so I get him the toy, and of course he's a monster. At the store won't let me shop, is being obnoxious. So I took the toy back. He went nuts. Carole, he went nuts. And this is a lesson for parents. This is why you don't want to let your kid get as bad as I let mine. This is why you got to get control. He was like, it like fried his brain. It was like, what? My mom's actually following up on
Short-circuited.
He
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
he went nuts, started screaming and kicking and going nuts because I took the toy back and he was just like, well, I'm carrying him out of the mall like
Yep.
this so I don't
Yep.
get kicked. And these
Wow.
people are going, she should just hit that kid. What a brat. She
Oh,
should hit that kid. We
yeah.
got to the car. I put him in the back seat. He's kicking the back of my. I thought he was going to kick my head. It was terrible. I thought he was going to kick the glass out.
Wow.
And finally, he calmed down enough that I could strap him in, and we got home. And I said, honey, why don't you go to your room and just relax?
Yeah.
That's how bad it had gotten. But see,
Wow.
that's what happens. We train our children not to listen to us. I had
Right.
trained him that I would give in. Oh, if
Mm,
I just push hard enough, she'll give in. And
right.
he was better at pushing than I was up until that day.
Interesting. And now you are fully qualified to negotiate with terrorists. No, I'm kidding. I'm gonna add something else to
Oh,
your
yeah.
bio.
And Carol, I'm walking him out and I'm going, it's okay to be angry. It's not okay to hurt mommy.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm getting the visual and yeah, totally get it. Totally get it. Wow. So that, yeah, and we see it all the time and it's so easy to judge, isn't it? So easy to judge when
Yes,
we don't
so
have
easy.
the context.
We
We don't
love our
have the
children.
background. We don't know what is happening in both the kid and the parents' lives, right? It
Exactly. And of course, we love our children. We want the best for them, and we just don't know what to do. And that's what I just didn't know what my husband and I wanted the best for Anthony. We just didn't know what to do.
Right. Right. Absolutely. I think that course was brilliant, actually. It sounds like it was an absolute godsend. Now, any
Hmm.
idea if this kind of thing, well, obviously your book is going to help with that kind of thing, but it might be, I see a course in your future as well, dear
And
Martha, because
the book is laid out. I will be giving an 8 week because that's what worked for me, an 8 week course. But the book is laid
please.
out. The
Yeah.
first thing we talk about is building self-esteem because a lot of kids,
Um,
they don't get any acknowledgement from their parents. You need to look the child right in the eye and go, I'm so happy you're my child. I am so
yeah.
blessed to have you. I like how you this, I like how you that. But then discipline, what do we do when the child misbehaves? How to prevent discipline? Creating positive relationships with your children, raising smart children. A lot of people say my son doesn't do well or my daughter doesn't do well in school. Well, did you read any stories to them when they were growing up? A little baby at the age of 1 knows to turn a book. If it's upside down, knows to turn it the right way.
Really?
By the time they're age 1, yes,
Wow.
and they can repeat of the story to you. If they've heard the same story again and again, they'll repeat parts to you.
Mm.
Meal times, what to do at meal times. What if your child won't eat? At the grocery store. Oh, the grocery store. There you go. You know, travel, how to travel with a child across the street or across the country, how to create a safe home. To create a safe
Mm,
home before that baby starts to crawl, you need to get down on your hands and knees and crawl through that house and
right.
look at the plugs, look at the look at the latches on the cabinet doors. Do you
Brilliant.
have the bleach down at the bottom on the bottom level? Please, all
Mhm.
those dangerous things have got to be put out of the child's reach and cabinet locks put on
And
and
until
to
you
strengthen
walk
your marriage.
there at their perspective, you're right. Yeah, unless you're doing the
Exactly,
reconnaissance at
exactly.
their level, yeah, how else are you gonna know?
Right, that table, the corner of the table's right at the baby's eye or head
Right.
level. Boom. You
Mm,
don't know that unless you get down and look.
mhm.
And
In
the lint on the rug. Good heavens. Lint on the rug, dog food.
right,
Who
right.
knows?
All
You don't
these
even know
things
what's
that
in
can
your
just
rug.
go into their little
Yeah,
mouths and yeah, yeah.
right. Staples that fall out of papers stuck in the
Mm,
rug that your baby gets.
yeah,
You have no idea unless you're down there. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Wow. That's amazing. And you go through all of that in the book.
Yes, in the
Like
book.
all of
Yes.
this phenomenal, phenomenal. And so um another thing that came up too is that parents feel defensive and believe they have to explain the reason they do anything.
Oh, yes. Yes.
right? The
Yes. And
justification, or even just feeling like
right.
they owe somebody an explanation. So what's that about? What would you suggest?
Well, that's that whole society thing. Well, you know what? Practice not defending yourself. Just practice. Just try one time
Hmm.
when somebody's looking at you funny. Just
Hmm.
don't. And then if they say something, if you want to answer, say so. Otherwise, say, you know what? This is what I believe is best.
Hmm.
It's totally up to
Yeah.
you. But you've got to practice these situations because somebody's always going to come at you. Your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, your sister-in-law,
Hmm.
your aunt, your niece, your nephew. Somebody's
Hmm.
going to, the teacher,
Hmm.
whatever. And
Yeah,
somebody's
and
always going to be coming
I
at us.
agree. I agree. And it's true. They're never going to go away. So I'm always a
Never.
big believer too in a like the one line kind of canned response, right? What
Ah,
works best for you kind of deal. Like I know that for me, I don't like to debate. I don't like to get into, and I know some people who are just, they, hey, I was on the debate team and I really, no, and it's like, oh no, kill me now. Because I don't want to have to get into that. So my line is always, okay, so answer this before we even go anywhere near this. Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
there you go. Exactly. Exactly.
So I'm a big believer of the canned responses. So I guess if a parent can come up with a line like that when
Mm-hmm.
somebody is coming at them, maybe some sort of replacement of, oh, I don't want to have to
Mm-hmm.
explain myself, right? So if they
Mm-hmm.
can,
Mm-hmm.
it's whatever, what is it, James Clear
Well,
in Atomic Habits talks about, like you need a system that you can stick to even on your worst day.
Well, the parent could say, well, you know what, I appreciate you saying something. What would you suggest we do?
Beautiful. Yeah.
And then say, well, thank you so much for your input.
Mhm.
And then great, I'll think about that for next time.
Fabulous. I love that. I
But you
love
don't get
that.
to, yeah,
Yeah, it neutralizes the charge around whatever is going
right,
on. Hey,
right.
what would you
Because why be
suggest?
defensive? Why be defensive? That what they're doing is they're trying to be nice. They really are. Most of
Mhm.
the time, they're not trying to be critical. They're trying to give information in the best way they know how. So
Mm.
just accept it. You don't have to do what they tell you. Just, oh, well,
Right.
thank you. Now I have more information. I'll think about that for next time.
So it's really just shifting their perception of what's being said to them. What,
Yeah.
right? How
Yeah.
they
And you know
receive
what?
it.
Okay. If 20 people are around us, let's say you and I are having a conversation, there's 20
Mhm.
people around us, there'll be 20 different opinions of our conversation.
Right. Right. Yeah, exactly. Broken telephone, right? Yeah. It's true. Yeah. So I'm sure that I have no doubt there's chock full of information that can help parents keep their mindset in check when it comes
Oh,
to, yeah,
the book is really it's chapter after chapter of numbered list. Do this
I
at the
love it.
grocery store. If your child won't walk next to you, what do
Mhm.
you do? I heard a parent one time say, "You've got to don't wander, don't wander. A bad man could get you." And I thought, oh my goodness, she's just
Mm,
scared that child something terrible. You
mm,
know, children have enough to be afraid of. No, that's not what we say. We say, you
yeah.
know what, sweetheart, I feel more comfortable when you're right next to me. I don't want to have to go looking for you, and
Mhm.
I expect you to walk next to me. And in fact, you know what? There's a can of corn over there. Why don't you go look at that can of corn and tell me which one we should buy? Or go
Nice.
find the corn for mommy, or go, in the
Yep.
same aisle. Give them
Mhm.
something to do. And then if they won't next, and then say, you know what, if you don't walk next to me, or if you don't
Mhm.
stay where I can see you, you'll have to sit in the cart. And then when the
Mm.
child wanders off, you go, I see you decided to sit in the cart, and gently put them in the cart and go about your business. Don't
Love
get
it.
all
Mhm.
wonky and yell at the kid and embarrass him or anything. I see you decided to sit in the cart. And the
I
child
love
will go,
that.
no, 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 mommy. Well, you know what? Today, that's
Mhm.
where you are. We're going to be done in a few minutes. We'll try again next time.
Mhm. I love it. I love it. Because yeah, this is your choice. You made the choice. This is how this
Yeah.
works. Yeah.
That's why
I
you
love
want to tell them beforehand. If you tell them beforehand, here's what I expect from you. I expect you to walk next to mommy or where I can see you.
Mm.
And if you don't, then you'll be in the cart. Do you
Mhm.
understand? Okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
this really speaks to the partnership that I mentioned earlier. I love
Yes.
that, right?
Exactly.
You're enabling parents to open up a conversation and a negotiation or an agreement. That's the word I'm looking for, right? So I see you
Right.
decided to sit in the cart. Oh, I see you
Right.
decided to sit in the cart. That's actually okay. So you understand you made a choice now, right? By doing that, by not listening, you made a choice.
Yes.
This
Exactly. That is exactly it, Carol. Yes.
it's a
Yes.
deal.
And the more times we can do that, let's say you're in the house and the child's making all kinds of noise. If
Mhm,
you're going to be noisy, you need to go outside. If you're going to sit
mhm.
quiet, you can stay inside. And the child gets noisy. I see you decided to go outside. There you go.
I like it. I like it.
Don't get
There,
mad. Don't have a fit.
yeah.
Just,
I remember, I can't I think it was a friend of mine actually that standing in line at the airport, and we know how not stressful airports are. Oof.
oh,
There were a couple of boys really acting up and like actually bumping into her and that kind of
oh,
thing. And they were just, and the parents are exhausted, of course, and stuff. And
yes.
she just very calmly turned around and went, "Hey guys, you're not in your living room." And I thought, that's brilliant because they kind of went,
Mm,
I guess we're not. To which the parents
yeah.
went,
Yes. And you know what? That's another thing.
"Mhm,
Children will listen to other people. So if
yes.
a child is being disruptive at the store, you could say
Mhm,
something to them like, "Wow,
mhm,
I'm affected by how you're acting, honey. You
mhm.
know, I'm
Yeah.
upset. Like if I hear a baby cry or a little child cry, I'll go, oh my goodness, your crying is making me want to cry.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want me to cry with you?
I feel sad. Yeah, yeah, I'm feeling
Yeah.
sad now. Whenever I hear tears, I'm feeling
Yeah.
sad. I hope you aren't that sad.
Yeah. So that kind of brings us to the other point too that I wanted to touch on was that you say the parents are a contributing factor in the behavior of a child, but not the only factor,
Right.
right?
I don't want to blame parents, because you'll have this absolutely wonderful human being and their child grows up to be a terrible drug addict and, just
Mhm.
a thoughtless, inconsiderate human being. Well, how did that come from this loving, caring person? Guess what? There are other people in the mix. There's school in the mix. There's sports. There's all kinds of things in the mix. Parents are a part, but not the total. Not the total. We can't blame parents
Mhm.
for
How do
what
we
their
release
kids.
ourselves of that blame, that
That's
shame, that
tough. Yeah,
guilt?
that's really tough. You know what? I had to really think that through myself. I did the best I could with what I had. And a lot of times I knew better, I still couldn't do better.
Mhm,
Sometimes you know the right thing to do, you just can't do it. For
mhm,
whatever reason, you're tired, you're hungry, you're angry, you're lonely, you just don't know how to apply it at the time, you don't have enough energy,
mhm,
you're just like, "Oh, I don't know how to do that." Sometimes we know better, but we can't do better. So, you know what? Yesterday's gone. All that matters is what you do today. If you think you did wrong by your children yesterday, well, guess what? Today is a new day. So what are
mhm.
you going to do now in this minute? All we have is this minute, Carol, as you well know.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's not here. Yesterday's gone.
Yeah.
Okay, I did, and all right, now we're here. As long as your children live, they're going to say that mom loved the other child best, and dad. Oh, you were always dad's favorite. As long as the child lives, they'll have that excuse. And anytime children can smell weakness.
Mm.
And I don't care if it's
There's the
from their
terrorist
parent,
thing again.
their, their teacher, they can smell weakness.
Mm,
So you have got to understand that you're not always going to be at your best. And guess what? You're not. It's
mm,
just not possible as a human being to
mm.
do the best. But
Yeah.
to do the exact right thing every time. But we're doing the best we can at the moment, and that's good enough.
Yeah. Well, and I think that as parents too, that we take on the leadership role, right? It's
Mhm.
like, okay, that's it. Now everything rests on me. We're taking on the
Mhm.
weight of the world. We think
Right.
that
Yeah.
this is it. It starts and stops with us.
Hmm.
And when we put that kind of weight, we're very reticent to ask for help. When we ask for
Hmm.
help, we see that as weakness. Yes,
Hmm.
no? Is that
Hmm.
where,
Yes. Yes.
and so how do we kind of break through that? How do we release some of that
Oh, that's a really
weight?
tough one. You're making me think of a story, a true story. My son was in hockey,
Mhm.
and his hockey, the president of the hockey club was a lovely man. But the other parents didn't really like him for some reason. I don't know why not. I thought he was an absolutely lovely man. And one day the other parents were talking against him. They were saying bad things. And I said, you know what? That man has been nothing but nice to me. And I cannot allow you, with me standing here, to say anything bad about him. He runs this club. He
Mhm.
does what he thinks is right. If you don't agree with him, you need to have a conversation and give some different solutions. But unless you're going to do that, you're wasting your time and everybody else's by saying anything, unless you
Mhm.
have a solution. So I think part of the whole leadership for parents, our society doesn't encourage people to be leaders. So they're pretty much saying, you might be a parent, but you're a nobody and a nothing. You're just another parent. Instead
Mm.
of realizing how important family is, the cornerstone of society. Family is the foundation of society. Yet, because everybody else has kids, we think that it's no big deal. I'm just another parent, another mother, another father, another family. No, the strength of your family helps the strength of society, but also helps your child develop strength. So you might not be nobody's a leader at everything, but
Mhm.
there are some things where you want to lead, and
Right.
definitely in your house. But how do you lead? You lead by example, not by mouth, not by
Mm.
your words,
Yeah,
by your
not the
deeds.
do as I say, not as I do. That doesn't wash anymore.
Yeah,
Never
yeah,
did, really. You're
yeah.
right.
Never did, never
Never
did.
did. Yeah, yeah. Because it was Bob Proctor that used to teach that great leaders are also intelligent followers.
Mm,
And I think that in hearing you talk about leaders, there are probably areas where we can actually follow our kids' leads
hmm.
in certain not
Oh,
when they're being
definitely.
not when they're in a manipulative state, but just to
Right.
understand that, oh, this is what lights Johnny up. This is
Yes.
what lights
Exactly.
up
Exactly.
Betty. So maybe, I wonder, right? That's following. But it's not a question of, well, Betty's interested in music and I don't know anything about music, so it's just going to stop there.
Mm. Oh, that's good. Yeah, and then you want to ask her about the music. How do you know how to play that? How do you do that? How do you figure out the keys on the
Yeah.
piano? My piano teacher, I put the numbers on the keys. She pulled them all off.
Oh,
I took piano when I was 62, and I had the numbers on the keys. She goes, "You're not learning it. You're going to learn how to read music."
not these
But
numbers.
when
Interesting.
my son was in third grade, his teacher was telling me during parent teacher conference. She said, Anthony's so smart and he can do everything, but he won't help anybody. If he finishes earlier, he won't help other students. I said,
Mm.
okay, thank you for telling me. So I asked him about it. I said, Anthony, what's that about? And he goes, when the teacher explains how to do an assignment, they talk, they goof off, they don't pay attention. Well, then they don't know what to do during the assignment. I'm not going to help them.
Hmm.
And he had a very good reason, didn't he?
Interesting.
They should have listened. They should have paid attention when the teacher was explaining how to do it. That was
Mm.
a third grade.
Wow. Wow. Man, those 8 weeks were worth their weight in gold, weren't they?
Worth their weight in gold. Uh-huh. And another thing about those lessons. Okay, every week that we would learn one thing to do.
Mhm.
So and we'd come back the next week and they'd say, how did it go? How did it go? Well, every week I'd be, oh my goodness, it really worked. Oh my goodness. And a lot of the other parents would be like, nah, it didn't work for me. And I kept thinking to myself, why didn't it work for them? Why is it working so well for me and not them? They wouldn't push. They'd try it. If it didn't work, they'd give up. Whereas I would keep pushing and I would keep doing it and keep doing because they said to me, this will work if you do it. So I would keep doing it, and I'll be darned. I learned how to push more than he would push back. I learned how to not stop, to be persistent.
Yeah. And that is, right? I don't remember the exact quote, but yeah, it was Napoleon Hill that is persistence is to the character of man what carbon is to steel. It might
Oh,
not be
definitely.
it might not be the
Definitely.
sexiest of attributes, but it is absolutely essential.
We all give up too soon. Oh,
Yeah.
the diet isn't working. I quit. Well, then here comes 20 more pounds.
Yep.
No, just keep going on.
Yeah.
Life is pretty much 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. But guess
Yeah.
what? You still made one step.
Yep.
If you keep going, you're going to get somewhere.
Yep.
Just
Yep.
don't quit. But we all give up too soon. Oh, it doesn't work. Oh, blah, blah, blah. We
Hmm.
all have our silly little excuses.
Well, I think it's really, you're absolutely right. And I think it's really interesting too, because here we are, we're both coaches and consultants and doing that kind of work. And it must be, and I want to hear it from your perspective, when you are working with adults, do you see where some lessons were lost in maybe childhood that they didn't learn some
Oh,
of the stuff that it comes
um,
back to literally, well,
well,
I'm
Carol,
going to
you know
say
what
it,
it
it
is?
comes back to bite them in the ass in
It's
adulthood.
resilience. No one seems to have resilience, and they don't have that good strength of mind to say, you know what, this isn't working right now, but it doesn't mean it's the end. This whole uh, the efforts. Oh, in fact,
Yeah.
now you're making me think of this. There's this new song, Hardy, called "Sober You," and he's talking to a guy that he's telling the guy to stop drinking pretty much, and he says there's healing in the lonely. There's healing in the lonely. So, you need some time just to be by yourself. And
Mm,
also, things really look bad right now, but it's not going to stay that way as long as you do the right thing. That's pretty much what the whole song is about. You just keep doing the right thing. You're going to get over this. But too many people they seem to think that, oh, I can't get over this. This is a hurdle. I can't get, oh my goodness, my girlfriend left me, my boyfriend left me, whatever. My children are mad at me. I can't handle this. I can't handle that. No, you
mhm.
can handle it.
Of
You
course.
can handle it.
Yeah.
Just, step up to the plate. Step up to
Hmm.
the plate. Nothing destroys us that we don't let destroy us.
Right, right. And there's a big difference, right, with between having a childlike demeanor and having a childish demeanor,
big, big.
right?
Oh my goodness. Yes, yes. Even at my age, sometimes I'm still a big kid. I'm still so.
And
Uh,
that's okay. I think that, that's just it, is that what do we keep from childhood? That sense of
yeah,
wonder, our
yeah,
imagination,
yeah.
those fun elements, and what can we ditch, right? And just being able to kind of sort through that. And so
Mhm.
I'm going to bring up persistence again. I think that's something that,
Oh,
you know, especially with, and I guess my kids, I would have been raising my kids through that time where they got the participation uh, ribbon, right? Like, hey, I got something. Well, yeah, but you showed up. You talked to your little friend on the soccer pitch. Like, while you were supposed
and
to be
missed the
chasing
ball.
and missed the ball and go, what is that? You're annoying me. So anyway, how many parents have been to those soccer games,
Oh,
right?
for sure. Yeah.
So it's I think you can see in adults where there was no persistence like you had with Anthony, and
Yeah.
just, okay, hang on. This is,
Yeah.
yeah, I have to stay on top of this. I have to stay on top of him, and just constant spaced repetition, right? Just because
Right.
at some
And
point,
and somebody said a part of the problem with schooling today is not enough kids have a parent who
mm,
insists the child get up and go to school. Get up,
mm,
get dressed, and go to school. In fact, when I taught an alternative school, one of our students didn't have to be there till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We had a meeting with her mother. The child didn't show up for school, and the mother said, "Well, I just can't get her up." I just can't. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, a
Wow.
16-year-old. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, unless the parent is there to say, you know what, wait a minute, I'm your parent. This is
Mm,
what's going to go. School is important.
right.
Education's important. There's some
Yeah.
things that are non-negotiables, hon.
That's the next kettle of fish, right? Is teen
Mm,
years,
yeah.
right?
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. So I know we don't have tons of time left,
yeah.
and it's a
Yeah.
big,
Let's not go there. Let's
huge,
not.
huge
My
topic.
father.
But if there was
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
thing you could share about teen years and
Teen
yeah.
years. Well, somebody wrote a book. I don't know. I can't remember the exact title. It's something like "I don't ever want to see you again." But until then, could you drive me and Cheryl to the mall? Yeah. The teen years, that's when children they're trying to separate themselves from their parents. What it actually is they're growing, and
Mm,
they're realizing, wait a minute, my parent doesn't know everything, but they still aren't mature enough to realize that the parent doesn't know everything, but they can still be right about a lot of stuff, and you still need to
mm-hmm.
do what needs to be done. But they're going through a really difficult time, and everybody suffers.
Mm.
Let's just admit it. Everybody suffers.
Yeah. Why don't we just leave that there?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
totally get it. Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. And it
Wayne Dyer.
oh,
Wayne Dyer told a story about he wrote a children's book, and his daughter said, "The kids at school are telling me you wrote a book about how to being a parent," and she goes, "You?"
interesting. Interesting. Wayne Dyer. So if Wayne Dyer had to put up with it, who are we to think we're gonna get a free pass
There you go. Yeah.
in teen land, right? But it's a time of discovery. And then I always think too that, and although I didn't apply it then, but with with years of space and distance between now and back then, um, if I think back on what I needed
Mm,
in those teen
mm,
years, right?
mm.
That,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're driving me bonkers. I still love you to bits. You're still my child. But right now, ooh,
Yeah. But
what I'm
remember,
thinking is illegal in all states.
But remember, the child still needs positive attention. They still need to be
Yeah,
told what their good qualities are. I
yeah,
know you and I aren't getting along right now, dear, but I know what a wonderful human being you are, and I know that you really um, you have a big
yeah.
heart. You have to remember to say those things because otherwise, those words won't get said, and then it's going to
Amen.
cause a bigger rift.
Amen. Yeah. And I think that's what it is. I think we get locked up in our own anger and our own
Oh,
frustration,
for
and we
sure.
don't think,
Yeah.
then it becomes, then that's how we become polarized, right?
Right. Right.
In
And
any
and here's
situation.
my Carol. Here's my number one piece of advice. Number one, just because you think it does not mean it needs to be said.
Mm,
Always, before it comes out of your mouth, a suggestion, whatever, think to yourself, will this improve our relationship? Is it absolutely necessary? And I'll give one more tip. You know what? Why don't you just write a note? Put a note on the bathroom mirror. Clean the mirror, so you don't have to remind them all the time. Put a note. Wash your dishes. So you don't have to keep saying it. When the garbage is full, empty the garbage, So that was that way because you constantly nagging and reminding causes a problem in the relationship.
and the nagging becomes normalized. It's like, oh
Yes,
yeah,
mother
yeah, yeah,
deafness,
she's, yeah,
mother deafness. Yep.
mother deafness. I love that. Yeah, it's amazing. So like, I can't
Mm-hmm.
remember, was it
Mm-hmm.
Mark Twain that said, when I was 16, my father was the most stupid man on the planet. And by the time I was 21, I couldn't believe how much he'd learned in the last 5 years.
I know.
I'm paraphrasing, of course, but
It sounds exactly like what I remember it to be. Yes, yes, I know. I was amazed how much he'd learned in that short time.
it's like, wow, smart guy. All
Um,
right. So we are coming up to time. So, and I want to make sure that everybody knows how to get a hold of you. And you've got a special gift for our listeners. And I'm going to have all of those links, right? That you have um, this amazing guide actually that I just downloaded, and it looks fantastic, called How to Change Your Life Now. This is
It's
spectacular.
definitely worth it. Yes.
Absolutely. So I will have the link in the in all three
And it's
channels
free.
where,
And it's
yeah,
free.
and
Great.
worth its weight in gold from what I could tell. And they can also go to your website, marthaburich.com. So Martha,
Exactly.
MarthaBurich.com. Again, I'll have that link there. And you are also on LinkedIn. So I
Yes.
will make sure that you
Yes.
are tagged in that on LinkedIn. So we will
I
to
appreciate it.
make sure that your audience gets to see this great interview. And of course on Facebook, you have a Facebook profile. So I'm going to be putting all of that up there. Martha, I can't even begin to describe what an absolute joy and pleasure it was having this conversation with you. Thank you so,
I
so
feel the same
much.
way about you, Carole. Thank
God
you.
love you.
Thank you. You're an
Thank
excellent,
you.
excellent interviewer.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And your book, I seriously cannot wait to get my hands on it. I think this is going to be such an important piece for everybody. Even, I mean, yeah, I've grandkids, so I'm going to be sharing it with my daughter. But I, I think that everybody should get their hands on it because those lessons that we missed in childhood can be applied in adulthood.
That's right. And
I am
expected publication is July. So in about
excellent.
another month, it should be ready.
That's fantastic. So yes, so please be sure to keep us posted. Again, thank you so much. So, so grateful you took the time to have a chat with me.
Thank you,
Ha-
Carole. Loved it. All right.
Awesome. Have yourself an amazing, amazing day. Take care.
You too.
Bye now.
Bye.